Well, let's talk about Arsenal right now. A lot of questions around them, given the nature of this game at Old Trafford. They haven't been brilliant at Old Trafford over the years. Their record has improved in recent times. But Manchester United have made signings. There's a lot of excitement about that, Gary. There's a big atmosphere at Old Trafford. How impressed were you with the way they withstood it?
I thought Arsenal, both teams will come off the pitch. I was optimistic about United at the end of the game. We'll cover that later on. But I think for Arsenal, they've got that resilience and that toughness about them. That sort of there's very few teams I think that can go 1-0 up and feel comfortable in their skin to be able to focus and concentrate for the rest of the 90 minutes. And this is typical of Arsenal. They're really well drilled on set pieces. And look, we talked about this till.
Well, do you think it's a foul?
No, I don't think it's a foul. If we just take it back. So just watch Zubimendi here. If we're talking about fouls, if Manchester United want the foul on the goalkeeper, look at Zubimendi here. I mean, Cunha almost grabs him. So I think there are allowable actions in the penalty area that I think people are allowed to do. If Saliba had pushed him, I'd have said it's a foul. The fact he just nudges him and stands his ground. I mean, you see him here now, there's a bit of a wrestle going on with Mount. There's a bit of a shove from Bayende. I think that's all's fair in love and war there. The goalkeeper has to be stronger. And the biggest mistake the goalkeeper makes is actually not his strength. I just don't understand. He's got his hand like that. Why doesn't he just clench his fist? And even if he just goes like that, a little punch, I think he gets it 5, 6, 7 yards away. It's that little flimsy hand that basically causes him the problem in the end. I know he's obviously not got himself into a good position to go and attack it, but I have no idea why he just doesn't give it a little punch.
A lot of people are talking about this now. Arsenal's results against the so-called Big Six of Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United, Spurs and Chelsea. They are unbeaten in those last 22 games against those sides. That starts to be some sort of impressive trend, doesn't it, Gary?
Dave, this is brilliant. This is everything that Arsenal weren't 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Everything that we wanted them to be, that we asked of them. When you think of the great Arsenal sides, they were tough. They had great back lines. They could see games out 1-0. They kept clean sheets in big matches. This is a title-winning team that have not won a title, and they've got to change that.
Is it between those three, as you see it, very different teams in Liverpool, Manchester City and Arsenal, the way they go about things?
Yeah, I mean, I think what was interesting about it, I agree with Gary. I think it's very difficult to pick who's going to win the title. I think it will be tight. I think the thing with me with Arsenal from yesterday, I thought that was a great result. You know, playing poorly, going to Old Trafford, new signings, big atmosphere. The two centre-backs were absolutely fantastic for me. For me, the best partnership in the Premier League. But I think on the back of Arsenal not winning the title last season, we felt that they needed to move the dial a little bit to maybe a little bit more football, a bit more creation. And that was typical Mikel Arteta that we've seen probably over the last 18 months. That was Arsenal scoring from a set piece.
Perhaps not at their best.
Not at the best, but scoring off a set piece. Not creating many chances. Really big back four, making it really tough to beat. Now, brilliant for that day, but it'll just be really interesting over the next sort of couple of months. Have Arsenal sort of moved the dial a little bit? They brought in Zubimendi to maybe play more football through the lines. They've got a striker who they think will score more goals, even though, if I'm being honest, I think they'll go back to Havertz in the biggest games. I think that will be the case.
Well, perhaps Liverpool in a fortnight's time, we'll see.
I can see Gyokeres playing and scoring goals. I think next week, I think they play Leeds. The week after, I'd be very surprised if Havertz isn't playing.
Where are they going to finish? How do they...
He can't leave Gyokeres out of big games.
He can. I think. Well, should we get into this later?
Well, I mean,
do it later.
You say that, but Šeško didn't start on
No,
Sunday.
Šeško obviously is not quite up to speed yet, and you can see obviously that he needs probably 2 or 3 weeks of
Maybe
fitness.
There's an argument that Gyokeres wasn't up to speed either.
No, but what I'm saying to you is Arsenal need a centre forward. They've brought one in. Look, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people give him a hard time for his performance yesterday. I was watching that game from a gantry. I saw things, glimpses that I thought he'll be a handful.
I think Havertz, in Mikel Arteta's eyes, is too important to him to be a player who's left out week after week. I don't see that happening.
I think he'll have to find a way to try and get him in somehow. I know it's awkward sometimes, but Martinelli does look like he's struggling. And I think maybe trying to get Havertz and Gyokeres in together might be something that he has to try.
I'm sure some of this will come up in predictions later on tonight, how they sort out that top three, as it looks like in their eyes. Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool. M&F predictions come your way.
And I just thought, did I see little instances of that Liverpool team?
What, a little bit of rock and roll?
Yeah, a little bit more. So going off what Pep said last season, and also the influence of Pep Linders, who was obviously very hands-on as a coach, but really good from Wolves. But what I wanted to look at here, as this pass is coming across, as it's almost there, and we just stop it there now. So that ball's on its way. I was watching the game at the weekend, I couldn't believe what I saw. The players were all jumping high up now to try and catch the Wolves players offside. Now, Normally, what's really different about this is, when I played under Rafa Benitez, when that ball got there, if that player took a touch back, the back four would push up. That was something that we were sort of coached and looked at on videos from AC Milan. But this is very Liverpool-like in terms of when you copy things sometimes, is that line too high? But they actually jump before the ball actually gets to his feet to try and catch the Wolves players offside. So we run it on now, you see the players jump forward now, really high pushing up. And again, it just made me think how much influence is maybe the new coach having on this team. So that was one instance that I seen in the game. This is another similar situation, but completely different in terms of this is from a goalkeeper's kick. So they played out initially Wolves, they've now gone long with the goalkeeper's kick. And again, we just stop it now. The players are pushing up now. I think one of the midfielders, Nico Gonzalez, has just dropped a little bit. He's trying to push up. So pushing up now. That's before the header has even been challenged. Again, trying to catch the Wolves player offside. Now, what I would say about that is, I think that's risky. If Aït-Nouri does a bad header and flicks that on, the Wolves player could be in. So that could be something to look at.
You just need
in
the
the
white
coming
shorts,
weeks.
Jamie, and then
Pardon?
you just need the white shorts, then you're blending into the screen.
I'm going to show you, Man City don't want me in there, too. But they did actually score a goal, Wolves, an offside goal. It doesn't count as a goal, obviously, but Manchester City catching. Look at John Stones painfully stepping up, just gaining that extra yard on the Wolves play here. It's almost, it felt like in the game, it was almost like a little bit of an obsession, certainly in the first half, about catching them offside. And it just made me think,
is it dangerous?
Listen, it could be, but it worked really good. But it was something...
It's really good play. I mean, we've played centre-back, I played in defence. To get a back four and unit in sync like that, I tell you, it takes some doing. That's really good play from John Stones.
But we always know Pep's teams like to push up. We get all that, but that was something a little bit different. And it just makes me think the influence of Pep Linders in terms of the offside. And then we run it on now, it goes in, that's the goal. So they catch them offside, an offside goal. So you're right, Gary, a lot of work has gone into that. But when you think of Liverpool as well, I just keep back to Pep Linders, the amount of counter-attacking goals that Liverpool team would score with sort of Mane and Salah, you know, breaking forward. And it just, when I looked at the goal from Reinders, it was an absolute revelation, you know, in the game. He was fantastic. But one of the goals, Pep Linders, Pep Guardiola, he's given him the thanks, the hug. Now, we don't know exactly what that's for, but I don't think it's a coincidence with some of the things that I saw in the game, that he, as a coach, is having a big influence on Pep Guardiola.
So that was a little bit about the defensive system, the counter-attacks, and Pep Guardiola actually lent on that in his post-match press briefing. This is what he had to say.
We punish them in transition because we have incredible pace. With Tijani, with Oscar, with Erling, with Oman at the end, we have good pace. It's a weapon that we want to use this season when we're getting the ball attack quicker than maybe before.
Interesting. So where do you see Manchester City now, Gary, given these tactical tweaks that Jamie's referenced there, that Pep Guardiola has talked about, and this sort of blending in of new faces, some signed in January, a couple in the summer as well?
Yeah, watching that game on Saturday is a little bit, did we just forget about the obvious? Pep Guardiola, if he loses a title, he'll win it back. He wins titles nearly every single year he's coached in his career. And when you saw Reinders on Saturday, and you think of Rodri to come back in, you think of Stones and Diaz, Haaland up front. That's a spine and a half. That's a title-winning spine. It's a treble-winning spine with a manager who's prolific. So I can't separate City, Arsenal and Liverpool. I know I'm going to have to later on tonight. But honestly, at this moment in time, City, I think, just off what they've seen on Saturday, they keep the players fit. They could be really in business.
All right, well, let's talk.
The excitement before the match for Arsenal supporters was that they were going to see their new £64 million signing Viktor Gyokeres in action in a Premier League match. The Gunners have come into this season with a new direct style that they are hoping will get the best out of the Sweden striker, and be the difference in them lifting a trophy during this campaign. Gyokeres' main attributes are using his power and strength to burst through the centre-backs, and boss Mikel Arteta is trying to increase the amount of chances he gets. However, Gyokeres is lacking in match sharpness and has only been back in full training since signing for Arsenal, after he did not attend Sporting's preseason while he looked to force through a move. There were occasions when the 27-year-old was played into promising positions, but it looks as though it will take time for the players to get used to their new system and for him to build up the fitness he needs to become a key part of the Arsenal attack. It was not the debut Gyokeres would have dreamed about, and the forward was jeered off by the United supporters when he was replaced by Kai Havertz in the 60th minute. The usually reliable Arsenal defence did not settle and had some shaky moments during the match. Manchester United able to create chances with direct passes behind the visitors' defence. Calafiori is important to the Arsenal attack due to his unpredictability on the ball, but his runs into midfield and further up the pitch left Mbeumo in space, and that also caused problems for the Arsenal backline. Arteta will be pleased to get off to a winning start, but there is a lot for the manager to work on before their next game.